drugs.
What's up, world? It's your boy Knowledge God. Hip hop is real. Key Life Production. You already know we here at Xyayx Studios, the movement with the one and only Q Butter, man. Q Butter, I want to say thank you for the invitation, man. I appreciate you, having me here, man. Thank you. Let me let you just, introduce yourself.
Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Q Butter here. Xyayx Multimedia, Xyayx Studios, Xyayx the movement. You know me, always on the boards, always working, edited, chopping something up, doing something with the youth, building. Just doing what I do, regular stuff.
Yo, Q, man, I want to start this out by saying, I have two channels. I do the Hip Hop is Real, Key Life Production, Battle Rap, and, the conscious movement. One of the things is information got me in the conscious thing, you know what I'm saying? Reading from certain, teachers and people who's written dope books and just opened our minds to different levels of what life is, you know what I'm saying? Bringing me out of just the regular concept of religion and certain things to just believe in, especially me and my background and, being, forced to believe certain things and go to church and things like that. Now, I want to say that by saying I met you bringing Sway 7 in the studio. You know what I'm saying? And it was dope. And it was like, it's a ill joint because, seeing you've been around the conscious community and putting in work for a while. So I wanted to start out by saying, can you give us a real background of who Q Butter is, how long you've been in the conscious community, how long you've been, with your movement and some of the things that you are giving out here to the community, you know what I'm saying? And for the people who may not know who Q Butter is, like, give us a little background.
I start with the later first. I'm an audio engineer. I've been in business for 10 years. Always been about the community. Xyayx originally was put together as a concept with 4 different brothers for the purpose of having something that we can implant into our motives, into our endeavors, and have it represent something that we want to have for ourselves and let it be within the word, in and of itself. Just the name itself is ours, So at the time when we was doing it in college, we didn't really have too much going on, and I was just getting into music. I was DJing, and I started engineering. My pops invented something with audio, method of producing 3D sound. So I always kind of been into audio, and I kind of took off with the engineering. I've been professionally doing it since 2007 in business, 10 years now. Or 2008 we formed a business. And the whole while doing it, in the back of my mind, I always knew that Xyayx, all everybody sees the music studio, I knew that for me, it's like, yo, this is at any moment I get, I'm using whatever money I can from the studio and the notoriety I have with the studio to get to my people. The music studio provides a unique opportunity to get to us black brothers. Unfortunately, in like Brownsville and Brooklyn, Crown Heights, the only people that really got access to black males outside of basketball programs and schools is jail. So our music studio, I always kind of knew it had a lot of access to black men, and being someone who's, strong, pushing a certain type of narrative, and being in the forefront of with the youth that's making the music. Anybody that knows me, everybody that knows me, knows that like I've always been a person like, yo, think twice, this, so on and so forth, and put some cognitive thought into your music in some way. As of recent, in like the last 2-3 years, I was going through something really hard with the landlords. I was dealing with the studio, and I guess the internet was really taking off at that time, about 3 years ago, with the conscious community. It was really taking off. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you know what, let me start doing my own little events. And that's really kind of introduced me to like a level of the conscious community. The conscious community's like, got a lot of levels to it, So the network I was dealing with, that was my way, and the events I was doing, that was my way of compensating for what was going on and what I was experiencing with the music studio, because it was really strenuous, building the studio, putting all my money into it, losing a lot of money, dealing with landlords that was shitty, and just dealing with, bad investments. Like, anybody know I've been doing music for a while. It's like, this is literally like my 5th spot that I built up from scratch. Well, third spot I built from scratch, you know, literally. Fifth location. Continuing forward, the music studio and my presence in the community with it has always, you know, like I said, afforded me an ability to reach tons and tons of people. So when I was doing the community events, it kind of like started to overlap the presence. And so people that saw me in the studio, they always knew I was pro-black, but they didn't really see me doing anything. And then the people who saw me doing the events, they would go on my timeline and see like, yo, this guy's associated to a lot of youth. And so it was like a beginning of like that cross doing it. And then as I started to see more and more, I guess I should have pushed it, but you yourself, you see sometimes you want to keep it separate. You know, you got the two platforms, but ultimately you want to have them both together. But it's like trying to merge the two. And so over the time, people kept seeing like everything I was doing, and then I started putting videos up on Facebook, selfie videos, talking about the church. You know, I got a hard sentiment about the church and Planned Parenthood and different stuff like that. And you know, of course, the internet, you know, I love the internet. People's gonna tell you, so what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So I was doing my little events, and the events was cool, but they were like venting. Like we learned a lot, we built a lot, very powerful, but I found that a lot of it was venting. And I'm cool. I don't really have any reason to vent. I'm ready to work. That's the whole point, work. And so when I got to this particular location, I was only originally renting the basement, and I was still doing the community events. And the owner of this property here, he had a film studio already up here, like a photo studio, but it wasn't working to the effect that he wanted it. So he was gonna rent it out to someone else. Long story short, he rented it out to me. And as soon as I got the space, I told him I'm gonna chop it in half, and I'm gonna chop the space in half and build a whole nother business over there. I want to do something for the community. He was like, all right, cool. And that was the first challenge. I don't know, we can't see that here on camera, but to the right of us, there's a wall. This whole space was open, and that wall was the beginning of it. So the people I was reaching out to, this was like my first real physical project. I'm like, yo, we want to build a school space. We want to build a little institute space, a learning center space. And people telling me 500, and I just had surgery. And one dude told me $1,800, and he came from the conscious community. I said, yo, my man, it's a wall with a door. Like, I could do it myself, but when people come to the studio, they see equipment, the prices always go up. So I wound up doing this wall with my brother G, my partner G. We did it ourselves in 3-4 hours. And then people like, yo, y'all really gonna build a little institute in here? Y'all really gonna do it? I'm like, yo, I'm tired of talking. We did a bunch of events, discussing the issues, building, talking about what we could do for it, but we ain't doing nothing. Like white people could walk in right now, enemy walking in right now and just swag on us. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so I'm like, yo, we gonna do something in here. And I started just promoting it on Facebook. We put the chalkboard, we drew, the paint chalk. My man, Energy, shout out to him. He was one of the first people to help me with it, and he brought his nonprofit in. And we just kept building it up to where it is now. So about a year and some change later, our position in the community has grown. We got immense resources in there. We got a lot of people that come through there. Yeah.
Nah, it's all good. It's good to get the background and a little understanding of what's going on. My first question I wanted to start out with is Xyayx. What is the meaning behind that name? Like, how'd you come up with it? It's an ill name to me. I just want to get a little background on that.
Well, the name Xyayx, it was inspired by, like I said earlier, the need to have something that we can apply to anything. It's more like a tool. It's a word that we use to inspire, just off the fact that when you hear it, it's our word. We really sat down for hours and hours and came up with it. My man Chris actually came up with the phonetics, and then we all chipped in, and I think I put in the Y, the last Y.
So this is y'all created that right there.
Yeah, we created the word.
That's dope.
Sat up there and was like, we want a word that we can put on our stuff, anything we do.
That's up.
And it's our word and anything associated with it. And at the time, it was, kind of esoteric the way we was thinking about it, But the heart of what we were saying, the core of what we were saying was we needed something that can represent us in the future, that we can build now that's new, that doesn't have the history that everything else has. And so the underlining definition is more like an attribute, you know, like love and hate. You got to define it through its attributes, and you give it, you know, that's how you give a life to its description. So for Xyayx, unity, honor, discipline, master your craft, those are kind of the things that go on to define as Xyayx.
Earlier you said one thing about you know, the conscious community having layers, you know, being multiple parts of consciousness, multiple things of getting into information and different levels in this, you know what I'm saying? One thing we could, you know, all agree on, there is a conscious platforms and people who are out there promoting consciousness or, you know, evolution or in different ways, you know what I'm saying? To you, when did you really get introduced to what it is now, where you see all these different platforms, you know, like the Sadetta channels and, you know, the Baba TVs and, you know what I'm saying, Rich channel, and, you know, because these are some of the people I came out looking at and watching and, you know, getting information from different people's perspectives, watching debates and things like that. When were you introduced to certain things like that? Because I know, of course, you've been probably getting information your whole life, but, you know, especially living in Brooklyn, you know, rich history. So let me get some of that, you know, your introduction, I guess, into consciousness.
My pops, so he wasn't really like a black ideological thought, but he was black ideological theory, more like theoretical approach to black thought, in a sense where the application of black thought, the lifestyle of black thought. You know, I remember when I was in college, I was a knucklehead as young, but I woke up, I had a little case, beat my case and whatever, and then after that, the trials and tribulations with that, whatever. But long story short, the process for me becoming conscious was pretty much my pops. I remember when I was about 19 years old, I was in college or 20, something like that, and I came and talking a whole bunch of like, yo, black power this, black power that, and my pops was like, yo, what you gonna do without the white man? And I was pissed. I was like, what you mean I'm gonna do without the white man? He said, what kind of toilet you gonna use? You gonna use the same mixture for tar? You gonna use the same DC, AC current? What you gonna do without the white man? He said, when you can answer those questions, who gives a fuck about the white man? You know what I mean? I didn't understand the gravity of that statement and that question until I got older, and I was like, yo, and I look at the conscious community now, I'm like, that's the theoretical aspect of black empowerment that we're missing. You know, when Kwame Ture spoke on black power wasn't about, you know, just saying the word. It was like, no, the ability to inspire people in colleges and other places to be empowered to take care of themselves and to take care of the people that look like them and to seek the understanding of themselves, you know what I mean? So that type of ideological premise has kind of always permeated in my house. It wasn't one that was RBG flags. My pops is not one of those people. I did not come with that. It was just, that was the way he thought about, you know, black empowerment. It wasn't like everybody else, you know, not to say everybody says that. I'm just saying that that's, to me, his thing. I'm not saying he was some, you know, special anything. It was just the way he would approach it and question me and challenge the way I thought about stuff. And so it was always there from the books I was reading as a child. My pops was then an atheist, religious, atheist. I don't know how to describe it, but he definitely instilled in me the search, or the need to know a lot of things. You know, that's what I went to school for, astrophysics, astronomy and stuff. I ain't finished college, whatever, but that's what I majored in. He inspired that. He inspired my push for audio engineering. Like I said, he invented the method of producing 3D sound. So I was always around that little kind of backline world of audio. And so that type of thought process is already there. And so when I got older, it was just the experiences I was making. However, when I say levels to the conscious community, you got people that might have been around people they've been selling incident and vending at every event their whole life. You know what I mean? And like, they vended at every single event in the conscious community. I don't go to events. If you even charging for an event that's supposed to be for the community, 99 times out of 10, I'm not coming. You know what I mean? Like that's just, you know what I mean? It's just the way I was taught. So it just, that's why I do a lot of things for free. But I have a whole different perspective. I'm understanding now. But there's layers to the business of Black empowerment rather now. And when you mix that with the conscious community and the people that make up the leadership, there's politics and everything. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. One thing, you know, I speak with Brother Herman Smalls a lot and things like that, and you know, we always talk about, you know, leadership and things like that. You know, sometimes we even ask, is there leaders? Do you see any leaders? The question I want to ask you is, who do you look as leaders within the Black community or conscious community, or, you know what I'm saying, who's to you leaders, or is there any leaders in this community? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Green.
Richard Green.
Yeah, Richard Green. And brothers like Richard Green. I was talking about Richard Green earlier. He was a Marine, Vietnam veteran. He opened up his own nonprofit, the Crown Heights Youth Collective. He took an abandoned building on Franklin and Classen, or Franklin and Carroll, which was later destroyed and used for to make a parking lot for Medgar Evers College. He took that building and had the entire Franklin Avenue. You ask anybody in Crown Heights that was born in the 80s, if not even the 70s, about Mr. Green, and they'll tell you, they will give you a way in which he actually helped them physically, or somebody they immediately know within a phone call. And I'm talking about hundreds of people. You know what I mean? Where there's kids right now whose first interaction with a musical instrument is cousin Mr. Green. The kids right now whose first time drawing pictures of great African people in history is through this brother, you know. And so for me, I'm about that quantitative approach, you know, very analytical, very practical. How many people can we actually help? Unfortunately, since my time, you know, getting mixed with the internet, people, it's a little, our community hasn't really grown to that point yet where we're you know, analytical with data. We're learning that, you know, but it's that's not ingrained in us. And we have to just become more, in my opinion, more analytical and more about problem solving. And so for me, it's challenging to answer questions like that, because for me to see what I look up to, you got to solve problems. You know, so any Black man, any Black sister, Black woman, any person who's solving problems, I may not even know if I look up to him yet. He might be building a dam. Like, I have a goal. I want to build a dam somewhere. I want to build a freaking generator off a river. I need a country to do that in. You know what I mean? I want to do remarkable stuff. Let's build a tunnel. Like, let's build real stuff. Let's build a wall. Like, at the end of the day, if that wall goes up, Trump will be able to go written in history as the man who built the Great Wall of America. Like, we look at it as funny now, but he's going after his mark in history. That's something no president ever done, as corny as it is. Like, what are we leaving our marks with?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Shout out to the people that's doing it. I'm not really in the mood. I've been trying to keep the mood of being calm and not shooting at anybody. Normally, I'd be like, yo, fuck them, fuck him. He ain't shit. He a fraud. He a scammer. There's so much of that right now, and it's such a distaste in the community. I'm just like, I don't really have anybody to look up to. You know what I mean? My man True True, you know what I mean? He one of my elders. New World Warrior, that's definitely somebody I respect. You know, my parents, but anybody that's doing the work, like that's making it measurable. Marcus Klein, you know, measurable growth. That's what we need to see right now. Like, I can show you on paper the data of how we help the Black community in 1 year. And that's not enough. You know, personally, I'm saying what I've done and what we've done in a year is not enough. And I can show them. And if we can't speak like that when we're talking about being leaders or being people that's taking on certain responsibilities in the community, we're doing a disservice. So for me, as being, I'm not the oldest, I'm not the youngest, it's kind of, you know, skewed as to who to look up to.
Okay. Now, just looking in the public in general, we got athletes, entertainers, Just a video I was watching the other day. Diddy was on the rooftop, had all his peoples with him, had all the black entertainers with him. He was talking about unity. Like, yo, we all here together. Let's, you know what I mean? Come together. Let's take over this shit. I got revolt. Let's come on my shit and let's build this whole shit. And I don't want no money. Come through, and everybody got to own their shit. If you don't own it, I ain't fucking with you. You got to own your shit to fuck with this shit. This is, now, do we see entertainers or people like that are becoming leaders? Or is Diddy a leader within the community that with his voice, his power, his marketing ability and influence and music and 20 years plus have dudes dancing forever? Like, does that, you know what I'm saying? We see who the young kids are following. We see what's going on. You into music, you're making music, you have the young, you see what they're into, you see the type of music that is being made. You know what I'm saying? We see Lil Pump, Tekashi 6ix9ine and Casanova. You see the whole blood gang aspect and everything. So you see, like, so are these entertainers, are they becoming the leaders? Are, you know, the Jay-Z's who's now having a 444 album and talking this new conscious found woke type, you know, not saying he ain't been on that before, but now he's really expressing it on the whole album. You know what I'm saying? Guys like Nas, who's been kind of talking like that. So my question is, are some of the entertainers becoming the leaders? Even though brothers like Dick Gergie said an entertainer can never be a leader. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. Rest in peace to him. You know what I'm saying? Let me get your thoughts on that.
Influential. Okay. Impressionable. Or the ability to impress. That's what a lot of the people we have a strong impression upon the community. Are they leaders? Diddy is a leader. Like I said, in Xyayx definition and underlining, you got to be a master at your craft. Like Diddy mastered production, you know, so respectively, he's a leader in the community in that sense. You know, our community, we need to be centered around our crafts, or recenter ourselves around our crafts. Now, as to the artists, there's a difference between being impressionable and being the impressor, not oppressor, impressor, and being a leader. And I think a lot of us get the two mixed up, where you have a fan base, and because you have a fan base, and the fan base that you have is impressionable, not because they're weak-minded, but because they're your fan. Mm-hmm. So they're more likely to take a side with you. Now, in most general politics, you can't use that. Like as a nonprofit, because I help people or because a nonprofit helps people, it's unfair if you choose to back a party. You see what I mean? Because the people you're helping are naturally going to go with you. Mm-hmm. You know, and not saying that's the reason why, but that's just something I came up with. But I can see that as being part of the logic, and it's the same thing with musicians, where you saw that with Obama. Not saying that that's not how it works, but is it you're impressing people? You're not really, you know, leading them. Now, when we go to leading, are you creating leaders? You know, anybody who comes with Xyayx knows I will teach you how to run a business. I'll show you how to start a business. I'll take you from not knowing how to do a session on the boards. You will be able to run a studio, then there 2 studios by yourself if I finish with you. I'll show you how to shoot and edit. I'll teach you how to teach. I take you from point A to point B and get it done. You know what I mean? Very meticulous. That's how it's supposed to be. Not saying other people don't. That's my style. Personally, I don't see that with the people that's in the music industry. I see people who are following other followers and who are completely clueless, and then they get an opportunity to be somewhere and they're so focused on trying to keep up with what they sold to the people, that now they're chasing the image that they sold. So they use this to get these people to mess with them, sold them a fake image. Now you got these fans who are impressionable, but instead of using your power now to become the leader and use your platform as a tool, you rather continue to lie. And so that's one of the issues I do have in the music studio and with music right now, the level of lying. You know what I mean? I understand entertainment, but it's like, those are your words.
Be honest with
yourself, with your thoughts. And so I can't tell somebody who's blatantly lying on their song that you're a leader to people. You know what I mean? Like, what skills do you have? And if you do have skills, showcase your skills. Even the people that have issues with me from the studio, I taught. They all make money right now to this day off of what I showed them. And so that's what we should be showing the other people. Jay-Z can say he's one of those people that showed us, you'll be independent, do your own business, buy your own stuff, you control your business. But we need more, you know, and I'm not saying from him specifically, but just in general, we need more of that, you know, and we need it to be, forget that 1990s, 1985 soft shit. We need straight, look, black man, lift your shit up. You know what I mean? With RBG, I forgot what song they did. When RBG, Dead Prez did the song, and they showed you how to scam the whole system from beginning to end. That's leadership. You know what I mean? They banned that song immediately. That's leadership. If we're not giving us instructions and showing people, then you're not leading, because the point of leading is to be able to show somebody how to be able to do it to themselves. I'm leading you to it. If you want followers, we got tons of people with mad followers.
Word.
We can go down the line of people, any Rolodex you want. Want me to name drop? You see what I mean? You got tons of followers, but creating leaders, nah. You know what I mean? So that's, nah, yeah.
One of the things we see, you know, that's also going on, just a lot of infighting. Like, if you look at just some things that are happening recently, you know, with the Dr. Umar Johnson situation, a lot of people give their energy to a lot of these people, a lot of people who are teaching them information. Now, we in the era of, you know, the teachers are the ones who's getting, we got Francis Cress Wilson and, you know what I'm saying, Dr. Sabi and all of these people who have taught us certain situations. And those are the things that, you know, we were able to use in our lives to help us have a better lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Do you still see some of the teachers, or is it come to a point where it's just too much like infighting or internet fighting? You know what I'm saying? Where people aren't really learning anymore, but it's more about the entertainment aspect, you know, where people love the entertainment. They love the fighting. They love the back and forth. You know what I'm saying? This is what gets them to click on that video, or, you know what I'm saying? But it's like to the point where what happened to the part of learning? Because I remember that's what made me like, oh, I want to get information so I could at least, you know, my cousin, he was into Christianity, so I wanted to get that ammo to be like, yo, nah, you know what I'm saying? This is what I learned. Go check this. You know what I'm saying? Giving you facts to actually wake you up to whatever dream you in, because that's what it used to be about, at least for me. You know what I'm saying? So what's your thoughts on just the infighting and the fact that it's not as much teaching going on, or it's not as much exciting even within the people to even want to learn as much? You know what I'm saying? Because they're more entertained than the BS going on.
Entertainment, education.
Edutainment.
Yeah, edutainment.